I remember putting on my suit, putting on my tie, went into an interview. I remember sitting at a table and it was five nurses on the other side. There were two males, three females. And the interview went really well. There was a lot of laughing, joking. They were really impressed with my previous experience as a medic and a combat veteran. And I walked out of there, remember going home, like, man, I'm going to get this job. Think I got it. Said I should hear something by Monday. You know, over the weekend, I was excited. I was telling all my classmates, you know what? Oh yeah, I got my new grad position. Monday came, looking through my emails. Hmm, what do you didn't see an email? Look through spam. Huh? Didn't see anything in spam. Well, maybe they ain't sent it out yet. Tuesday. Did they have the right email address? Am I checking the right email? Did I give them the right address? Nothing's in spam. Wednesday, I got an email. Hot diggity. Here we go. And I wasn't selected. How in the world could they not select me? Well, sometimes that's how I go. Welcome to my podcast. What I wanted to do over the next few episodes, I just wanted to kind of highlight my experience just navigating as a new grad RN. It was a really eye-opening experience for me because there was a couple of things that I wish I had known. But of course, anything that I learn, I usually learn through experience. And that's the whole point of me trying to come back to you guys, and hopefully you can kind of avoid some of the pitfalls that I did. So I just want to my main focus is just to give you a look from the inside and teach you how to avoid those mistakes. And I think I'm going to do a 3-part series to kind of go through and kind of highlight some of the things that you might want to look out for, and how you can position yourself with the position that you want. And I think that's the main thing. So for me, I graduated in spring 2001, right smack dead in the middle of the pandemic. But I noticed that the new grad positions started posting around January and February of 2001. And usually that's how it works. I mean, like if you're graduating in December, then you'll start seeing positions post around August. Usually about good 4 months before you graduate, you start to see those new grad positions. And they're called new grad residencies. And it'll let you know if it's a summer residency, if it's a winter residency, and you kind of know what it is. And see, in my area, I thought I had an advantage because there are three major health systems within a 45-minute drive for me. So I'm thinking, you know what, these jobs are just going to be in abundance, and I'll be able to get whatever I want. And besides, as a paramedic, man, I know I got first grabs at an ED. I mean, who wouldn't want a new grad nurse that has years of experience as a paramedic, right? So I honestly thought the job process to me was kind of the same as when I finished medic school. Let me kind of explain that. So when I was in paramedic school, the county that we did our clinicals at, they actually gave us a lot of job offers, whether if it was full time or even per diem as a basic. Before we even finished school, once they found out we was in paramedic school, they was like, "Hey, come work for us per diem," and they pretty much had you locked into the system. So you had your medic job. I mean, before you even graduated, you already had your job. And in nursing, it was kind of that way too. Usually in nursing school, where you do your clinicals, a lot of times the management, they kind of peep out, or charge nurse kind of peep you out to see who kind of the sharp is and pull you to the side and tell you, hey, we want you on the unit. Or some folk that are in nursing school, they may already work as assistants and techs, ED techs. So they kind of already got a foot in the door a little bit. So it's kind of the same way as a nurse. I remember while I did my clinicals, one of the charge nurses told me she wanted me on the team because doing a this guy was crashing one time and the PA asked for some push dose epi, and I was able to kind of take the push dose. I was able to take the epi 1 to 10,000 and convert it into push dose epi. And so they were kind of impressed with that, and they was like, "Hey, we want you on the team." But of course, you got to remember, my paramedics. I mean, my nursing school was like an hour and a half away from my house, and so was my clinical site, and I just couldn't see myself taking that drive. But like I was saying, it's kind of the same as nursing. The only difference is usually as a medic, you usually have one county and kind of offers a lot of jobs. And in nursing school, you have many jobs through many systems, but you also have many applicants. And I come to find out that sometimes the people who are already working those departments, maybe as techs, usually have first dibs at those jobs. But I saw many listings when the new grad, when new grad residency positions was out. But me specifically, I waited for an ED opening, and I don't know what it is about the ED with us medics. It's like, I'm gonna go to the ED. Versus, you have the ICU openings, you have step down openings, you have oncology openings, you have surgical openings, you have PACU openings, you have all these other openings. But for some reason, it's like as a medic, I want to go to the ED. But as soon as I found two ED jobs, they were within the same system, and I applied for both. One was a level 3 trauma center, and the other one was a level 1 trauma. But it's the same system. And the funny thing is, I didn't get either of the jobs. And for the life of me, I couldn't understand why. I felt someone like myself, I mean, my background, I mean, man, military combat, paramedic. Uh, I mean, I've been a trauma instructor. I've trained special operations medics. I've Man, crap. I mean, I'm an AHA instructor, a PHTLS trauma instructor. I mean, I got all this pedigree, but yet I didn't get an ED new grad nurse job. Like, how does that happen? But around April, I really started panicking because I kind of banked on me having this job. Of course, I applied like around February. I had my interview around March, and around April, I'm thinking, man, I'm starting to see less new grad positions opening. And so, I really started panicking. A lot of my classmates was locking in their jobs. So I remember one time out in the parking lot, I was really just kind of like, man, what I'm gonna do. There's not going to be any new grad positions open. I don't know what I'm gonna do. And so that night I went home and I just started filling out apps for all of them, regardless of what it was. I didn't care if it was oncology. I mean, I just started filling it out. And I felt, and so I remember I had one call me and it was a general med step down unit. And I remember reading the description and I'm thinking, okay, this general med step down, it's not med surge and it's not ICU. But then I had this elaborate plan to, well, let me go in. I'm going to work as the step down unit. And my plan is after my new grad period, I'm just going to transfer to the emergency department. Great plan. Here we go. So I interviewed for it and I took the job. And I remember doing the interview, I kind of felt like I basically had the job, but they was just describing what the job was. And really what it was it was a new grad residency position on the COVID unit at a level 1 at a majorly known hospital um, COVID unit. So this hospital got the worst of the worst of the COVID pretty much in the state. And this was the unit I was going to as a new grad. Keep in mind, this is like right dead in the scariness of COVID season, okay? So I felt like I got the job because nobody else, no new grads wanted the job. So I took it. Uh, I was a little disappointed in the pay because I felt like I should have got more money, but the pay was better than being a medic. But I just thought like usually they will take your experience and give you just a little bit more pay. But I still took it. I mean, it was decent, but in my unit just wasn't the greatest experience. Number one, I felt overqualified, and I'm not trying to like brag and say like I'm like an all star, but I just felt that when you in a unit that says you can't start an IV until you go to IV training, then I felt overqualified. And that's what happened to me. I remember IV came out of one of my patients, and I go to start an IV, and my preceptor said, "No, no, 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 you can't do that. You're not IV trained." And I'm thinking, "What you mean I'm not IV trained? I've been a medic for like 9 years. How am I not medic? How am I not IV trained?" And so I brought that up with my manager. My manager reached out to the nursing educators and everything, and they said, "Okay, well, since he's a paramedic, he can do IVs." Well, I maybe should have rethought that because no one on my unit was IV trained but me and maybe someone else. So I basically wound up doing IVs for every nurse on the floor along with my patient load. Not to mention, my preceptor had only been an RN for 2 years, and the charge nurse, most of them were like just finishing up their new grad period. So I just felt like I had more experience than most people on that floor. I wasn't too happy with my schedule because my schedule, I started out on nights, and this is the way it went. When I came to the hospital orientation, they gave me my schedule, and the next day I was working nights. I had 2 week nights and 2 week days, and I was going to flip flop every 2 weeks between night and day. And during COVID season, the fact that I had to work nights, and me being one of the only IV trained people on the floor, and having a charge nurse that only been an RN for a year, and it was just a lot of conflict. And so I wound up resigning. I remember walking into my manager's office one night after night shift, and when she came in that morning, I came in and just told her, say, "Hey, look, I'm not a good fit for your unit. I'm just not." And she kind of agreed with me, with the experience that I had and with the youngness of that unit. She was really hoping I stayed because she wanted me to contribute to the leadership. But as far as my personal growth, I just felt like it wasn't good. And at that point, I felt like I had a kiss of death because that meant that for me being a nurse, I would have to wait a whole nother year before I got into another new grad program because all of the new grad residencies were already taken. But as luck found it, I applied to an ED position and I interviewed, and they wound up actually hiring me as a direct hire. So I didn't have to go back through. I didn't have to go back through another residency, and I was making $7+ more an hour, and I was in the emergency department. So throughout that long process, man, I've learned so much. And what I wanted to do was part two. I'm kind of get a little deeper into some of the things that you should do and some of the things that you shouldn't do. And I go ahead and let one of the cats out of the bag now. Um, as a new grad, you're not going to make as much money as you think you should. But here's what happens after your new grad period is over, you're going to have 1 year experience. In that 1 year experience, you can make more money going to another system as a RN with 1 year experience than you can if you stayed at your old system and just took a pay raise. So I'm gonna drop some more gems on you guys on part two. So I see you then. Happy nursing.